Bhubaneswar is a sprawling, active city. From above, it looks like any major metropolitan hub going about its routine on a standard Thursday afternoon. But down on the street level, that routine was about to violently break down. To understand how fast things escalated, we need to look at the Bhimgarpur area. Two women were walking through this neighborhood when they were suddenly targeted. Two young men riding a motorcycle intentionally steered into the women, knocking them down in the middle of the road. Instead of a hit and run, the men grabbed the injured women, dragged them across the pavement, and began a physical assault right there in the street. The attack was severe, leaving both women with serious physical injuries. Realizing what they had done, the two men scrambled onto their bike for a getaway. But as the assault happened, the women began screaming for help. Those screams echoed through the dense neighborhood, alerting people in the nearby buildings and shops. At the center of the conflict, the attackers were left with a narrowing escape route as they tried to clear the neighborhood before a response could materialize. Because they tried to flee through a populated area in broad daylight, they gave the surrounding community time to close in and cut them off. Dozens of locals heard the distress calls and poured out onto the street, sprinting directly toward the commotion. The sheer volume of people flooding the road created a physical barricade. The crowd surrounded the motorcycle, forcing the two men to a dead stop. When the locals saw the two severely injured women on the ground, the collective mood fractured. The group of concerned neighbors morphed into an enraged, highly volatile mob. At this exact moment, there were no police officers on the scene. The locals had absolute physical control over the suspects, with zero official oversight to contain the situation. In the minutes before sirens reached the street, the focus shifted from detention to punishment. The enraged crowd bypassed the legal process entirely. The crowd pulled the two men directly off their bike and began a severe, relentless, and brutal assault. The assault proved fatal. One of the men died on the asphalt before the crowd finally dispersed. The second man survived the initial onslaught, but barely. He sustained critical, life-threatening wounds before the beating finally stopped. The initial assault left two women hospitalized with serious trauma. The crowd's retaliation, however, crossed over into lethal force. The locals rushed out to save two innocent pedestrians from a violent attack. But in doing so, they committed a homicide, creating a second, arguably more severe crime scene on the exact same street. Now, 3 people remain under close medical supervision in local hospitals: the 2 injured women and the lone surviving attacker. Authorities are untangling witness claims, including allegations that the assault involved sexual harassment and forced physical contact. But a massive gap remains. Investigators have no clear motive for why these men chose these specific victims. Then, the investigation takes a confusing turn. Police have detained 2 other women for questioning. Officials have not clarified how these 2 new individuals factor into the events on the street, and they are actively examining multiple angles to see if they orchestrated or aided the assault. Because authorities haven't released a detailed official statement, this entire sequence of events is currently stitched together from preliminary and often chaotic eyewitness accounts. A violent collision led to a desperate cry for help, which immediately provoked a lethal mob beating. The police now have to solve both a violent assault and a murder, trying to find the truth in a neighborhood